All right, everybody, it's your boy Genius out here at the range today talking about something a little bit different, but for all the trolls out there, I figured I would show a gun since it is a gun channel, not a religious channel, not a channel that talks about dogs, but it's my channel, so I'm gonna talk about what I want to talk about, right? And I want to take a moment to, again, for all the people that watch me, have supported me for so many years. There's things about me you don't know. I mean, you know that I'm a Christian. You know that I read my Bible, smoke cigars. You know I share the gospel of Jesus Christ. You know I carry a little gospel track around with me in case anyone ever needs to know. But I'm also have always been a dog lover. And I just done a video, Onias, the RV lock. And it's kind of ironic that I just done another Onias video. And the only video that I ever remember my tactical pit bull being in was that video. We were camping when I done it, and so I went from one door to the other to show what the difference in the locks were. And he was laying there, so I kind of showed him as I was walking by. I typically don't do that kind of stuff, but I did. But Tank was only a little over 8 years old, which is relatively young, I thought. First pit bull that I ever had. And the reason that I feel like it's relevant, okay, to the guns, I'm going to try to tie it to a gun, make it relevant for that. So the trolls out there that tell me, oh, I had to listen to 18 minutes of your BS, you didn't say anything, that's literally what somebody said just the other day about something, because it wasn't all gun related. But this is my channel, and I try to build a core group of people that support me. And you tell me about your life and things, and I tell you about mine. I don't see that as a problem. Either way, we came back from that vacation. He became very weird, to say the least. He just wouldn't eat, which honestly was not super alarming to us because he cheats a little bit on his diet when we're on vacation. And when he comes back, a lot of times he'll pout. Like, I'm not eating that. I mean, where's that bacon you had, So it wasn't very alarming, but after about the third day, him not eating for 3 days, it started to become a little bit alarming, And so we took him to our regular vet after, I think it was probably 4.5, 5 days. He had eaten a little bit out of our hand, but other than that, he had not done much. He was laying around, denning up a lot, if you will. So we took him to our vet. He said he was jaundice. He checked his liver enzymes and stuff, and they were off the charts, okay? So he sent us to have a ultrasound done. Of course, we drive, almost an hour away, the only place we could find to do that. Of course, they did not do that night. And so he had to stay there all night, okay? And they called us the next afternoon, actually, at almost 3:30. So all day long, we had to wait to see. Tank never seemed to be in any pain. He never showed any pain at all. If you played with him, he was still playful. He still seemed to be himself, just mostly, like I said, laying around a lot, a little weaker than normal, and, not eating, of course, but he did eat drunk and all that stuff. Tank lived a great life. I have pictures of that dude in mountain streams up in Boone when my daughter was at Appalachian State. I have pictures of that dude at campgrounds up in Western Carolina, on the side of mountains, on golf carts. He went to Tennessee with us. He went to Kentucky with us, Ohio with us. I mean, he lived a great, great life. And he had a big fenced-in backyard that he ran around in all day. And his favorite thing to do was chase the FedEx man, the UPS man, and the mailman. Maybe not in that order. The mailman may have been the one he hated the most. And eat, of course, that was one of his, and sleep. He liked to sleep. He was a layabout for sure. Perfect dog for us, just real chill. We had a dog before him that, we felt like we had abandoned the dog because we left her there to have some exploratory surgery done because they thought she had a blockage or something. Turns out when they got in there, she had cancer, so they never woke her back up. And I just always felt like, she died alone and was abandoned, And for anyone that would leave a dog that you can humanely put down and would leave that dog to die alone with strangers is a heartless person in my opinion, because yes, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do at all, but they deserve it. They loved you unconditionally, and they deserve that. So just as a side note, okay, and I just always felt terrible about that. I said, if I ever have another dog, which at the time I said I wouldn't, that won't happen, okay? Well, they called us back 3:30 yesterday afternoon, told us that Tank had lymphoma. It was really advanced. Started talking about prodding and poking on him and different tests they wanted to do, and give him some steroid or something that would perk him up for a few days, might give you another week with him to eat and things like that. And they started talking about doing chemo to give you maybe another year. And I was like, no, sir, we're not doing any of those things. Again, I have pictures of this dog jumping head first into a lake up in the mountain with a life vest on, because he was semi sometimes. And if you know what I mean, he's definitely a knucklehead for sure. And so he lived a good life, and I don't recall no bee stings, no cuts, no broken bones, no nothing. I don't ever remember that dog being in pain a day in his life, And everyone loved him every time we went camping. Even everyone at the vet, said that that day he had kind of been walking around being a social butterfly, introducing himself to everyone. Everyone played with him all day. He had a good day at the vet, it seemed. And then, of course, they done the ultrasound, so they sedated him a little bit. But I said, no, we're not going to do any of those things. He's lived a life free of pain, and he's gonna die free of pain as well. So we're gonna just put Tank down today. The prognosis is not good. So we arranged for my two daughters and one of my grandsons, the one grandson that has met Tank several times, to come up to the vet, which was about an hour and a half drive for them, about an hour for us. And we all met over there, and we spent about 20 minutes in a room with Tank, got him some Cool Whip, because, he liked his sugar if he could, but he was kind of standoffish to it. Again, I think he was still a little bit sedated. And the thing is, he always gravitated towards my wife, I guess because she was the one that fed him the most. So he kind of always gravitated towards her. I always said that's because you feed him, but for some reason or another, he kept coming towards me. And I think the reason for that is because I don't think Tank has ever saw me upset. I don't think Tank has ever, seen me cry or seen tears or anything like that. And so I think that was concerning to him. And the reason I say that is because each time he would walk over to me, he would go over to one of the girls or my wife, but he would always work his way back over to me, which they thought or seemed odd, okay? And when he would do so, he would always look at me. And at first it was like he was looking at me with this concerned look, like, why are you upset? But then it's almost like, and I swear this is true, it's almost like he was like, it's all good, man, chill out. We got this, It's like he was telling me it was okay, as weird as that sounds. I'm just telling you. But anyway, so we got to spend about 20 minutes with him. He walked out, or I'm sorry, my daughter and the grandbaby walked out, and the doctor came in, and he was standing up, and he kind of backed up between my legs. I was sitting in a chair, and they gave him the medicine that obviously would put him to sleep, not euthanize him, but put him to sleep. And he started to lose his balance and go down, and I was able to follow him down to the floor and hold his head and kiss him and say goodbye while he was still conscious, and that's what they deserve. That's what they deserve. And my wife was obviously there as well. So he died knowing he was loved. He died without a day of pain, because they said the lymphoma was not a painful cancer to have, and so he was not in any pain, and that was pretty obvious. They said he had not peed for several hours, and that he would likely release himself after death, right? But he came in the room, walked over in the corner, and when I tell you he pissed a half gallon of piss on the floor, I'm not even making that up. He was holding it till he saw his people, and he went over there and he peed all over the place, right? Great, fantastic, and you know, it is what it is. Tank was a good dog. I've said, you know, I'm not going to set myself up for heartache anymore, so I'm not going to do it. But how does that relate to guns? Okay, Tank was a pit bull. I always wanted a pit bull, right? But I bought into the hype that they were mean, vicious, angry dogs that wanted to bite and chew your face off and everything else. And one thing that I learned having a pit bull, and that opening you up to other people that did as well, and doing the work that I do and going into other people's homes and stuff, is that I've never met a mean pit bull. I just haven't. You know, maybe that's the kind of people that I hang around, the kind of people that raise these pit bulls. I don't know, but they were always so chill, just such chill dogs. I mean, yes, he liked to jump up on people, but out of excitement, you know, anybody. He never met a stranger, you know. And yes, of course, I mean, at night or something like that, or something startled him, yeah, he would bark, you know, just to kind of let you know, like, hey, somebody's here, something's going on, I hear a noise. He was petrified of thunderstorms, never seen anything like it in my life. You know, he'd be all bowed up at the mailman, two minutes later, a crack of thunder, and he's acting like a little baby. That was Tank, you know. But people buy into the same hype about guns, you know. Guns are horrible, guns are terrible, guns kill people, blah, blah, blah. You know, pit bulls are not terrible. They don't kill people. They have the potential. That potential is there. But it's how that dog is raised. It's the owner that raised that dog. It's the owner that has that dog as to whether or not that dog acts that way. It's because of the potential that that dog has. If that dog were to go after someone, the potential behind him is greater than most dogs, okay? So, of course, there is a potential there for there to be mass, you know, damage, if you will, okay? Same thing with a firearm, right? But the gun doesn't kill anyone. The idiot with the gun that decides to be an idiot, basically, is the one that kills people. People kill people, guns don't kill people. And I think that relates to the whole pit bull thing, right? The pit bull himself is a very docile dog. I learned that from him and the guy I bought him from, and the other pit bulls he had and where they went, and the families that had them, and everyone I know. I've started to see more and more bullies, Stafford, however you say that, I can't say it, and pit bull terriers and things like that at campgrounds we go to. They seem to be more accepted, and there's a reason for that, because they are not violent dogs. They are not naturally violent dogs. You know, a dog that is naturally violent, Chihuahua, a freaking Dalmatian, you know, mostly the little ones, a Pomeranian, mostly the little dogs, they're the ones that has a natural violence to them. But Tank would walk around the campground, dogs yakking at him. He just prance around, never even looked at them, you know. He did not have my heart the way the dog prior to him did. He just didn't. I did not get that kind of attachment. He was the perfect dog for me, because they acted like it would be hard for him to stay with them that night at the vet. And I said, I'm telling you right now, you open that door, he's off into that hospital area, and he's meeting everybody in here like we never left, you know. And that was good for us. That was good for my wife and I. He didn't need or desire that attachment, you know, but he loved us, and we know that, and he knows that we loved him. And being able to be there when he passed and he died with someone there and not alone was a gift, in my opinion, from God, to be able to allow me to do that. And again, I know it's a stretch, but it's kind of the same thing. People say that this gun, this inanimate object, this metal, this plastic kills people, but it's the person behind it that does that. And it's the same thing with pit bull. If you've considered getting a pit bull, American bully, whatever, all of those different breeds, I promise you they will be one of the best dogs, most docile dogs that you've ever had if you raise them right. If you teach them to be idiots, they will be idiots. And people that have guns who are idiots, well, they'll be idiots with guns. It's not the gun, it's not the dog, it's the idiot raising the dog. Thanks so much for watching. Just wanted to honor Tank. Tank, again, was about 8 years old. I believe he was born in April or May of 2017, and he just passed away, this being June the 3rd of 2025. and just want to honor Tank. Thanks for watching. As always, make sure you know Jesus Christ as your Savior. And on this beautiful day that the Lord has made, let us rejoice and be glad in it. And to God only be the glory.